Good morning everybody and welcome back to another War Thunder First Impressions video. Today I am taking a look at the Leopard 2K. Now let's do some history first before we get into how the tank performs in game. Something that I haven't done for a while. The last history regarding a vehicle video I did was on the T64B. This time though it's going to be in this First Impressions video, which means I have to put the same video in two different playlists. First world problems, you know? So, the Leopard 2K, or Kyler, I don't quite know how you pronounce that, Keiler. The Leopard 2K was basically designed amongst the Europanzer project. The Germans had this project on the go whilst they were working with the Americans to create the KPZ-70 and the MBT-70. This was always a backup project. When the MBT KPZ Europanzer project fell through, the Germans continued basically with this project, the Leopard 2K. Now, the Leopard 2K in and of itself is basically an upgraded Leo A1 series tank. Only this time it uses the Rheinmetall 120 L44 main gun, or in English, the Rheinmetall 120mm L44 main gun. This main gun would basically become the staple for modern main battle tanks. As a matter of fact, a variant of this 120mm main gun is currently being used on the modern in-service M1 Abrams, or whatever the equivalent is nowadays. So, with that out of the way, let's have a look and see how this tank plays in War Thunder. Alright, so a little bit of history on my experience with the Leopards in the past before we get into the gameplay. This is a cracking shot, by the way. I don't think I actually did any damage with that shot, but I'll be damned if that wasn't somewhat impressive. Anyway, moving on. Me and the Leopard 1 and the Leopard A1. A1 have something of a history. I've said in the past that I do not hate the Leopards. Far from it. I want to love them. But my ability to use them to their utmost potential is somewhat limited by my playstyle. I'm too fast, I'm too aggressive. I want to push forward constantly. And on maps like the one I'm on now, Karelia, that tactic will very much get you killed. I don't concern myself with the issues at hand until I get to them, and by that stage it's too late. I don't consider myself a fantastic War Thunder player, far from it. Although I do admit that, or at least I do believe, I'm better at ground forces than I am at ARB. But then you only have to watch any of my air videos to know that I'm terrible at ARB. Anyway, I found that the Leopards tend to be not very well armoured, too fast, and the guns, they can work, definitely. The Leopard 1's gun at 7.7 is fantastic, although it's not stabilised. However, this 120mm, yeah. You get heat rounds as standard for the Leopard 2K, with 650mm of penetration. They laugh. They absolutely laugh at spaced and composite armour, as that T64 has just found out the hard way. Granted, that was a T64A, not the most well armoured tank in the game at the moment. The T64B pretty much holds that crown, or the M1 Abrams. But this thing is one hell of a counter to the T64B. Your standard heat round can just punch straight through the upper frontal plate on a flat angle at a decent range. I can't give you the exact numbers regarding range because I've never engaged one at long range yet, but hey, this was the first decent match I've ever had in this tank. Most of the games I got into, I got one kill, maybe died, but at least I was making some credits and experience. I wasn't just dying out of it. This game, however, was far better than that. So, the mobility of this thing is utterly fantastic, just like all the other Leopards. Although, this is one of the only tanks in the game that I can put my finger on, I should say, and put my hand on my heart and say, feels like an upgraded tank whilst stock. The mobility, the penetration on the standard round, it does bode really well for a stock grind. Some of the tanks in the game have their best shells at tier 4, but this thing you pretty much get the best shell right off the bat, which is brilliant. Unfortunately, that SU-100 probably would not be... probably wouldn't agree, but the standard round on this thing is just fantastic. So, what do I think about the Leopard 2K so far? After all, this is a first impressions video. I'm in love, quite frankly. As I said, my past experience with the Leopards has not been fantastic. I'm far too aggressive. But where the Leopards fall down, or at least the Leopard 1 and the A1A1 fall down, is that they don't have the armor to take a hit. Well, that's not strictly true, because neither does the Leopard 2K. But where the Leopard 2K gets off better than his predecessors is, though the armor is very thin, you have no composite armor on this tank, by the way, none whatsoever, you do have incredibly well sloped armor, and even Sabo will just bounce if the armor is sloped at a good enough angle. The upper frontal plate on this thing, if you're cresting a ridgeline, is basically just flat. Nothing will penetrate it. Absolutely nothing. Heat round, Sabo round, armor piercing, discarding, Sabo fin stabilized round will just bounce straight off. So, at least at long range distances, you have absolutely no concern about Sabo shells whatsoever, so long of course that they don't get a shot through the front of your turret. Which brings me on to the turret armor. The frontal armor on this thing is also sloped quite well. Very similar layout to the A1A1's turret armor, although this time, rather than just being a piece of spaced armor slapped onto the turret, it is actually more better fitted to the turret. So though it may be spaced armor, it does do the job much better. The Germans also decided that it was necessary to fit this tank with a 20mm autocannon on the roof. This does not rotate as quickly as the one on the KPZ-70 or the MBT-70, but it is pretty good nonetheless. It doesn't overheat anywhere near as fast as some of the 20mm in the game. So, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will probably be doing a review on this thing quicker than the others, just because I'm getting on rather well with it at the moment. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, share, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.